Moi University was established in 1984 by an Act of Parliament as the second public university in Kenya. This decision came after recommendation from a presidential working party chaired by Professor Collins B. Mackay. Located in Keses, approximately 35 kilometers from Eldoret town and 310 kilometers northwest of Kenya's capital. Fast forward to 1988, and with the hallowed halls of Moi University, the School of Information Science stepped up to meet this demand, producing graduates who would shape the information landscape. Students of Moi University actively participate in research by combining theoretical learning, practical applications, and collaborative efforts. The key approaches being used are access to digital resources where students tap online databases, digital libraries, and electronic journals for literature review and research finding, collaboration with faculty, and the use of digital research tools.
The difference now is that for us, for all the information that we needed was always in the library. So if you had to pass, you had to go to the library to read. But with yours now, your library, MTL is in your phone. You can get access to the information in your phone. So in this case, I can say you have got an easy life in terms of accessing the various information materials than what we used to have, because the number of books were not as many as you have now. Because apart from the physical books that you have in the library, you have so many other books online. You have the internet, which you can Google. If the book is not the book is not within the library, you can still get from other sources, other databases that are there, which may not be hosted by the library. So with me, I can say you are more privileged now. You have plenty of information that you can access for you to progress or to study in your program. And in this case, the currency of the information materials which you can access is higher, because as for you to get a book, maybe a book which is published in US or Europe, for it to be here, you maybe wait for about 6 months. That will be very current. So what we could be using this year, the most current is what was published in 2022 or 2023 early. But you now, you can access a book that is published today or published last week.
Students do a lot of collaborative learning. You put yourselves in groups and discuss an issue. So more or less like students no longer, during our days, you just be with you and your book. There was less discussion. But now I see a lot of discussion. People talk in the library. During our days, there was no talking in the library. It was silent. And because people were reading. But I don't see students reading these days. What they do, they just come with a laptop, consult various databases, and discuss. So you do more of collaborative, discussive way than our ways. So the habits have changed. The habit of picking a textbook to go and read on your own is no longer there. Then I don't see students also reading. You just pick something here, and collate it into a discussion, but not the actual reading that we used to do.
Much as we did have access to online resources at that time, I felt like we were reading a lot using the library materials that we had access to. Yes.
Engaging students in the digital age of Moi University involves leveraging technology and interactive learning methods, which include incorporating interactive multimedia content such as video lectures and simulations, implementing blended learning, utilizing e-learning platforms, encouraging virtual group projects.
The current era, students interact with you even at informal, levels, where they just want to have coffee with them. You want to talk about things even beyond academics. I don't see a problem with that myself. I think first of all, we are all humans, and we do not want to create a situation where you feel like you're so much above. There's a disconnect between you and your students. In fact, I give encouraging my lecturers, and even whenever I talk to students, I say, get to know your lecturers, get to interact with your lecturers, because life is, it's beyond academics. I can guide you even on things that are not academic. How to live a life, how to interact with people, how to socialize with people, because these are soft skills that you need for you to succeed. It's not about being brilliant. It's not about having good grades. You really need to learn other things when you get yourself in an environment where you are meeting with leaders. How do you behave? How do you interact with them? How do you talk to them? So you don't become so respectful to the extent that you can't go out there to talk to people, because the world that we are living in demands that you become aggressive in a way, aggressive in a positive way. So it's okay for lecturers to interact even informally during tea and whatever.
As a person, I've engaged a number of ways, either through emails or also through social media, WhatsApp and other platforms. So in that case, we use the current technology to help in with the students.
I think there's more interaction now compared to why? Because of technology. You see, right now, you may not meet me physically, but you can text me and say, Mwalimu, do you have something you can link me to, and I can forward to you some things. You see, I can use the mobile phone. We can talk on mobile phone. It is easier to interact with lecturers now with technology than it was before. During our time, actually, email came when I was in, I think, second year, third year. That it was there before, but accessing email, like my first Yahoo email, I think I set it up when I was in third year. It was my very first Yahoo email. I set it up when I was in third year. So that is a time when now computers were becoming more and more, you see, and then email was coming in and things like those. So we did have email way of interacting. You had to physically go to a lecturer and see him and talk to him, in their office, okay, in their offices. So it had to be face to face. Nowadays, I get students texting me on WhatsApp. I don't even know them. And we interact, and they ask for help, and I help them without even ever knowing that person, because we don't meet. They ask me for help in one thing or the other, and I help them in that way because I have access to the material that they need, and that's it. Yeah.
In the past life, vulnerable halls of Moi University echoed with traditional classroom lectures. Professors with passion and chalk in hands imparted knowledge to eager students gathered in person. Printed textbooks, handouts, and tangible resources were the bedrock of academic pursuit, and access to information was tethered to the physical realm, the library shelves, the campus nooks. Fast forward to the present, where Moi University embraces the dynamic blend of old and new. Blended learning takes center stage, an artful fusion of face-to-face instruction and digital elements. Video lectures dance alongside discussion forums and digital assessments hum with possibility. E-learning platforms and digital libraries beckon, offering a live-stream treasure trove of e-books, scholarly articles, and multimedia wonders.
For postgraduate classes, we can do virtual, fully virtual. But for undergraduate, there has to be physical component. So even if you're doing, online class, you must have a physical class. A large percentage of that has to be physical. Maybe you have a few classes that are online. Yeah. So that when you are in physical class, you are able to interact more with those students. In a physical class, after class, you can call me and you can follow me and say, Mwalimu, I'm having this challenge. How can you overcome, whatever. In an online class, you don't have that opportunity. You see, I switch off, you switch off, that's it. You see, unless you call me, which is, again, rare.
There was no technology. It was only a microfiche reader, microfiche and microfiche reader. Do you know those things? That was the technology then. Referencing these days to you is just a click of a button. As we did manual referencing, manual. You don't know where to put a comma. You don't know where to put a parenthesis. You don't know how to reference in APA or MLA. It was, you would finish your thesis and then go for another 2 months looking for references and trying to reference your work. When I see you, what you people are doing these days, referencing, pop, you have referenced your work.
COVID-19 came and gave us this remote learning and also virtual classes. That's some good and bad things. One is that it has given you an opportunity to do other things and to get engaged wherever you are. And that's reduced the cost of your travels. In terms of if you are in Mombasa, you can stay in Mombasa and still access your classes. But again, that's created some people to be lazy. Because nobody is monitoring you. I've seen people in my classes, people look in, but they have just looked in their gadgets and they are not in class. So in this case, some dishonest have created some dishonest people, not serious, but they are just for fulfillment, to see that they are around. They just look in and they just do other things without even monitoring what is going on.
Shift in changing academic lifestyle at Moi University has been influenced by technological advancement, globalization, societal and economic changes, pedagogical innovation, student diversity, and demographics and evolving faculty roles. These factors have collectively shaped learning environment, curriculum design, and student experiences, prompting institutions to adopt its educational strategies to meet evolving needs of students within a dynamic global context.
Being fully automated library, we have both LAN local area network, because we have portals, and we also have Wi-Fi connectivity. So the wireless connectivity is students can use their smartphones to access electronic resources. Whenever you enter the library, every floor here has a hotspot. So students are able to access electronic resources via their mobile phones, their smartphones, and also the desktops that we provide, and also if they have their own laptops. So they can actually, there are ports everywhere, and you can log in, and because internet is fully accessible here, so our own, from our own website, library website, you can see, you can access the information resources, especially the electronic journals and the electronic books and other databases that are relevant, that will support your learning. And because of the changing trend that people have gone E, your generation is really E. You no longer look at books. In fact, it has made a library, you only come here because there is internet. And you can spend all your day here because there is access to information via the internet through the local area network and also the wireless technology. So the devices that students have are very usable here because they can access information resources. They can make downloads, they can search, they can actually build their own literature and go away with it. Then we have another service that is called remote access. This is where students can access our servers irrespective of your geographical location. We have a service called remote access, or it's called Remote X. The application is called Remote X. But this is how you can actually remotely reach our library, search through our electronic resources, electronic books, and actually get information, download, and you can do your assignments even from your rooms. So this service is very popular with students. So the devices that students can have, the smartphones also can do that kind of service. So long as you have internet where you are, you can register with us for remote access, and you are good to go in accessing information resources.
In terms of the way students behave nowadays, and in terms of the way they execute their work, as we give assignments, or I give assignments to students, what I've seen, and this is very common, is that because of advancement in technology, some students, you'll get some of them who are very lazy in terms of doing research in the library, and maybe downloading information from the internet without even checking. They just cut and paste. And the less ones have formed an habit of copying from the others, and even some copy including the name of the other student in the design. And that is, it becomes easier now for them to copy. Unlike those days whereby students copying from one another was a bit difficult, because you had to go to the library, read, and make references or citations. So in this case, there is that change in terms of students copying or using even artificial intelligence, AI, to do their assignments for them.
You see, technology generally makes you fail to think. You see, it inhibits creativity and imagination. And I discourage students from using ChatGPT, not just students, even lecturers. Some lecturers become lazy. You know, instead of sitting down to read and prepare for classes, they just use ChatGPT to obtain information that they want to teach students, which is a very lazy way to do things. So it actually in a way inhibits imagination, because the moment you see if you're used to using a calculator like this, you know, if you're used to calculating things using a calculator, the brain shuts down. You know, you want to calculate 10 times 10, instead of just calculating it, you are looking for the calculator so that you can calculate that, isn't it? But when you don't have that technology, it forces you to think, isn't it?
Yes.
So ChatGPT is making students not research, it's making students not think. Because I ask you to, do research and write for me the phases of, evolution of development communication, for example. Okay? So I give you the work assignment, you go and you're supposed to go to the library to read about it. So you go to ChatGPT, ChatGPT might give you some correct answer. But by giving you the correct, by going to the library, you will not just read about that. In the process of preparing that, you read about many other things, isn't it? The assignment we give you is not for you to answer the specific question. It makes you to read other things beyond. But when you use artificial intelligence to answer the question, it means, first of all, you're not thinking. So it inhibits your growth as a student. In fact, so many universities have banned ChatGPT completely. Many universities that had gone to online examination system, they have now gone back to physical exams. Because advanced universities, I'm talking about Ivy League universities, because they're realizing that it's a danger. We are going to grow a generation of people who cannot think. Yeah? So that's the danger of technology. It makes people not to think. People who used to go to the library to read and write, essays, write their thesis, write their essays. You can't compare it with people who use Google to answer questions. Because by reading, Google will just give you a summary of, very specific point you're looking for. But when you are going to the library, you would get, Encyclopedia Britannica, you get this and that. By the time you're answering the question you wanted to answer, you'll also learn a lot of other things in the process. So technology has opportunities, but technology, especially AI, if not used carefully, inhibits your thinking. And I encourage students to avoid that completely. Not for purposes of exams, even as a person. Make sure you don't.
When you submit your work, your assignments, have to read carefully and see when maybe doing a bit of some comparisons and see whether you have done, and I can also search and see whether I can get one, because the AI, you can easily get if it's collected from some other place, because that's what normally happens. So that you have to use the search engines to know whether this information has some relevance to what is available in the internet.
The system of education, I think, has something to do with this. Look at it like this. Me, I'm old school. I went to school during those days. Yeah, before 844. So I think with 844, there was this introduction of discussions, more of contact. And like our system, we used to, you just used to read on your own. There was very little discussion by then.
Lecturers at Moi University strive to create a supportive and inclusive learning environment that balances classwork with students' well-being. They achieve this by incorporating interactive learning methods, encouraging students' engagement, and maintaining open communication.
Work has to be done. Work must be done. You have to create time also for you to see that you are not stressed. Stress is self-induced because one, if you are not able to balance your work, you will be stressed. My advice always, do your work and make sure also you do other things, because it's not only reading, but you need also to do other things, because if you don't engage in these other extra curricular activities, you will stress yourself for nothing.
Sunday you go to church, after church maybe go and watch a movie with a friend in their rooms, and then in the evening come to the library, just like that.
Apart from the social, the support now for students might be another problem. With the changing financial models in terms of taking care of students. I know the issue of students coming in, there could be somewhere from disadvantaged areas. They may not be captured in this financial or the assessment tool. One is that some may not be aware. You've seen the bans, especially now. You are okay because you are in the all the financial model of financing students, but the ones who are coming, some of them would be disadvantaged because one, with the technology being used that you put all your information, realize that there are some students who may not be having all the information that they want to be put, or there are some students who are from rural areas who may not be aware about this, and those are the ones who come to university, and those are the ones who might be disadvantaged.
We want to put, all the two labs to be 100% working. I want to work with university to allow the student to use the labs up to 10 p.m. So that they can do their personal work, and we need the challenges that we need to have a lab technician, and they might require, overtime and things like those. So we are trying to work on, those logistics to see how can we get the students engaged and have time to do their assignments. Not every student has their laptop, okay? The school website, to make it more interactive, to make it more informative. Mm-hmm. We are creating a school prospectus which we will release on the School Open Day, so that when you join the university you can actually see what you're supposed to do, and you can know all the lecturers from there. So these are the things that we are doing, and we keep on reforming and adding more things, and getting new ideas, engaging with industry, studying the industry, understanding what is happening there, and coming back to reform how we train our students.
We look at virtual libraries. Virtual libraries is where it is actually the remote or off campus. So virtual libraries will have to be enhanced. So it means the structures have to be there for full internet access in the library, so that just within the library, and also even when our anticipation is that we also see that your hostels have Wi-Fi, because you'll be able to do your work at the comfort of your room. So we are looking at virtual libraries as the thing for the future. The other thing is the open access libraries. So libraries should actually be open access without giving restrictions or limitations, so that students can comfortably do their assignments. And these open access libraries are things like resources like DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals. We look at institutional repositories. They are open access. Then we are thinking of other resources should also be open access. The argument, of course, they have their arguments of having to earn from the intellectual property or those things, but then information should be open access. So the future looks like we are going in that direction. How I also see is the digital libraries. Libraries have developed platforms or formats to be digital libraries. There is less paper. So digital libraries is something to look forward in the future. There is institutional repository is the intellectual output of an institution being put in one format in a database that you can access. And that is how we are also ranked. How much research has been undertaken in this institution, and how can people access this research, because it should be global visibility. Are people seeing what you have done? Number two, are they citing your works? It can be individual citations as an author, or also an institution if the ownership of an intellectual property, like maybe a very good thesis or a scientific research work. So IRs are open access. So digitization and preservation of that knowledge is what we are seeing as the future. Cloud computing. Resources should, so that we do not have the burden of putting structures. If we can just tap what is in the cloud, then that is the future. I'm seeing like we are moving in that direction of cloud computing. The future also is still collaborative learning is here to stay, because they have realized the changing trend of students. They don't want to do individual work. They want to share. And that is how knowledge is actually generated and shared. Because if you know something, the whole team will get to know it. If you have one book, I'll only be able to read that one book. and if I'm having the right book, then I'll pass exams myself. But then if the book is on a network, then everybody can access that resource. And as you come up to discuss issues, then that is a collaborative learning.